Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to the series of webinar, which is conducted by NFE, National Federation of Engineers for Electrical Safety. The NFE is conducting various seminars and webinars to create awareness on electrical safety. The NFE's vision is to make every electrical installation free of accidents such as electrocution and fire due to short circuit, and increasing the reliability of the electrical installation, thus contributing to the saving of life and property and supporting sustainable development. NFE's mission is to achieve our vision through getting accredited for product and personal certification, which shall focus on electrical safety by design, manufacturing, installation, and maintenance of electrical products. So, to become a member of NFE, please log into www.nfees.org and go to the page Become a Member, and you will see the membership details like individual member, corporate member, MSME. And this is the third webinar for this month. The first webinar was about cable sizing for low voltage electrical installation. And the second webinar was the panel discussion of all the NFE members, understanding the CA-MSCS regulations, implications on electrical safety. And today we are going to talk about occupational health and safety audit, Code of Practices, IS 14489-2018. I would like to highlight the recent seminars held in Chennai and Jaipur, which attracted significant attention from both participants and the media. The upcoming seminar is scheduled to take place in Kolkata on 2nd of August 2024. The speaker for the day is Mr. G.S. Baveja. He is a Mumbai chapter president, former corporate entity head of Health, Safety, Security and Environment, BPCL. Mr. G.S. Baveja is a mechanical engineer with MBA in Safety Management and Construction Management with meritorious educational background. He possesses more than 50 plus years of professional and management experience. He is a former corporate entity head of Health, Safety, Security and Environment, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. Post superannuation, Mr. Baveja has conducted more than 350 plus training programs and 130 plus OHSE audits in 15 countries. Mr. Baveja is a qualified assessor for safety and sustainability excellence. He has worked with Mrs. Det North Veritas, DNV as a consultant and OHSE auditor, DNV's Energy India and Asia and Middle East region. His teaching expertise include disaster management, safety management systems, industrial safety as a reputed institutes like UPES Dehradun, TIS Mumbai, Bharati Vidyapit Navi Mumbai, SAES Navi Mumbai for more than 8 years. He serves as a panel member on various government and non-governmental committees and has shared sessions in national and international forums. He is recently engaged as a director, business development India by Ripple to Wave, Singapore. He is a president Mumbai chapter NFE. Over to you, sir. Welcome you to the
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lakshmi, for your kind words. It has humbled me. And let me welcome all of you who have joined for this particular webinar. Let me share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Great. So you might all be wondering that why I have picked up this topic. And the reason is that we all are either working in industry or working for industry, or we are working as a safety professional. When we talk of safety, it is not just safety alone, but by far when we talk of safety in any industry, it has got a interwoven meaning with respect to occupational health and safety because it goes hand in hand. The Predominant discussion over today's session will be that we must have a kind of appreciation on effective OHS auditing. When we talk of auditing, it has got plenty of meaning. It could be auditing, it could be assessment, it could be verification with respect to some standard or with respect to some kind of a internal checklist or some kind of a statute or regulatory requirement. So taking these aspects into account, many times we feel that there are many specific subjects which get missed out, and that's why IS 14489 published in 2018 has come out with large number of elements which earlier were not there in the first introduction of this IS. It had only 31 elements, but today it is encompassing 76 elements. And all these elements really means a lot with respect to improving the safety aspect in any industry or in any workplace or in any corporate. So that is why I thought that there is a need for all of us to appreciate and understand what are these new requirements, what are these methodologies by which it can be taken care of, and how do we really go about with respect to auditing of these aspects. Carrying it forward, I would like to first of all thank NFE for giving me this opportunity, because this opportunity is unique, whereas we all generally talk about National Federation of Engineers for Electrical Safety, but this I am talking about safety as a whole, safety perspective as a whole. So as we all know, the aim of any effective auditing really means that we should look forward towards reduction of industrial accidents or incidences. I may use the word towards zero, and improved safety performance on an industry. In a real sense, improved safety performance means we should move towards leading indicators rather than lagging indicators. Identify gaps, statutory non-compliances, gaps of any kind, and non-compliances which are either statutory or non-compliances with respect to standards. This is what is another aim when we talk of auditing to be done. And definitely, if we look at all these three aspects, the more we are aware about these aspects, I'm sure it will improve the bottom line of the corporation. It will definitely move towards the higher profitability of the corporation, because any incident or accidents derails either the production or the management philosophy. And that is where it is important for us to look at how do we improve as far as auditing is concerned to make it more effective and to make it more meaningful. In general, there are predominant types of audits. People say it's a compliance audit, it's a management audit, it's a program audit, and each one has got some reference to it. If I talk of compliance audit, there are many things on which the compliance can come. It could be related to standards, it could be related to laws, it could be related to statutory regulations. There are many aspects which are there. It could be related to even business or policies which are internal or external to the corporate. So compliance management really means that when we take the compliance management aspects, we always look at the gap analysis, and invariably the gap analysis is done in five predominant steps. That is, define requirement and scope. That means the definition of requirement and scope has to be very clear. Based on this definition, we should find out the ideal state or the benchmarking state. Once we find out the ideal and benchmarking state, that is nothing but the expected requirements, and then compare with the existing policy, practices, field conditions, and then identify those gaps. And after identifying those gaps, the next step definitely remains implement an action plan. First of all, develop an action plan and implement an action plan. And of course, it goes without saying that we need to look at the tracking the progress and trying to make sure that whatever gap analysis has been done is finally complied with. whatever timeline it is. Then next comes your management aspect. When we talk of management aspect, definitely identify deficiencies in OHS management system. Every company has got a safety management system. If we are to improve the safety management, if we are to improve the safety per se or safety aspect in an industry, we need to look at what are their lacuna or deficiency in the management system itself, which has been defined. Is there any possibility for improvement? Is there scope for improvement? Gaps in current and ought to be as defined. Ought to be is nothing but management has defined it. And current means what exactly is happening. And based on that, we try to find out the gaps, and that is what we look at. Then scope for improvement in safety management system. This is what, when we talk of, I should say, audit with respect to management, or assessment with respect to management, or verification with respect to management. These predominant three thoughts come to my mind. Now, when we talk of programs, every company is running some program or the other. It could be related to training the people. It could be related to induction level. It could be related to at different levels. So when we are doing an audit, we have to review various ongoing programs undertaken by the company for safety per se or occupational safety and health respectively. So its implementation at ground level, relevance and adequacy. Many times it has been seen that certain programs or its training programs or its the syllabus which has been defined for a training is age old syllabus. It is not taking cognizance of the current regulations, current requirements. So that is where we have to look at what kind of programs are being undertaken and what is required to be undertaken in terms of upskilling the people right at the time of induction or on-job trainings. There are large number of refresher programs which are also supposed to be there to make people updated with respect to the current way of working. At the same time, every company is adopting many new technologies, many new ways of working, sometimes new equipments also. So how far the training or upskilling or the knowledge sharing of the to the working level people is being done, such kind of programs can also be assessed and can be verified. So when we talk of identification of gap, definitely there is a current status happening in every organization, and there's a desired state, which is expectation or which is the ultimate aim. When we say moving towards excellence, it may not be a quantum step, it may not be a quantum jump, but it may be a step by step. So key steps to bridge the gap is important. After identifying these gaps, then we draw an action plan, and that is how identification of gap and trying to comply it becomes my complete roles and responsibilities. So we all know that occupational health and safety audit code of practices, which I am referring to, has been introduced, and that is what I am going to talk with reference to this. So if I talk of this IS code, it was first introduced in 1998, and the reference for creating this particular IS code was to meet the growing awareness of safety in industrial sector and introduction of various acts for implementing directives of the statutory bodies. So more towards directive of the statutory bodies, how the reference is to be taken into account, how the acts are to be implemented in the ground level situation was the reference when this particular IS code was introduced. The need was felt to formulate a guideline to audit safety aspects in industrial as well as other units of concern. I'm sorry, henceforth I will use the word safety instead of the whole OHS, because by far, safety means occupational health, safety, fire safety, electrical safety. Safety per se is a whole encompassing all aspects of safety. So while formulating this standard, utmost care was taken to cover all possible elements relating to occupational health and safety. And also, with the passage of time, need was felt to revise these standards with a view to incorporate newer elements which are relevant to the industry in the present context, including safe behavior of workers, which is a new knowledge, that behavior of workers makes a lot of difference when it comes to having a compliance, or when it comes to trying to meet the requirements of the safety. So behaviors of workers at the workplace also got introduced into it. So this standard not only gives guidance for auditing of industrial units for occupational health and safety parameters, but it also adds many other aspects which are linked with how the overall perspective with respect to safety is there. So in the older version, as I mentioned earlier, there were 31 elements. In the newer version, the elements are categorized as 8 major elements, and under 8 major elements, there are 76 sub-elements. And that is where the new thrust has come and new emphasis has come. So the basic elements of occupational health safety as defined in this particular IS is given in Annexure A of the code, which I am sharing it here. The elements predominantly take care of occupational health and safety management, how the management perspective has been defined and how it is being taken care as a part of the reference. And there are 18 sub-elements. Then they talk about uh, physical hazards, which also means that at workplace, what kind of physical hazards are there defined in a many way, mechanical hazard, electrical hazard, and so on and so forth. So there are 8 elements in that. Then chemical hazards. Obviously, every industry, directly or indirectly, are using some kind of a chemicals for some purpose or the other. So naturally, there are a lot of requirements with respect to chemical hazards, and they have been included in 8 sub-elements, which includes how to preserve, how to store, how to use the chemicals at a workplace in a safe manner, different type of chemicals, what kind of storage philosophy should be there, what kind of usage philosophy there, what kind of unloading and loading philosophy, all that comes into that. Then most important aspect is fire and explosion hazard. Obviously, every industry, directly or indirectly, has got possibilities or propensity for either having a fire incident or having an explosion hazard. So 13 elements have been added, how to prevent it and what additional care is to be taken to make sure that fire or explosion incidences do not occur. So if you look at all these aspects, predominantly 234 is talking about the workplace hazards, and workplace hazards becomes one of the key factors when we talk of improving towards the safety. So the more we can take care of the mitigation measures for the hazard, the more comfortable the organization will be, and it will have a improved safety aspects when we are talking of the improved safety performance. Then it is also talking of industrial hygiene and occupational health, obviously because any occupation we are in, there are possibilities of occupational health issues to the individual. There are possibilities of industrial hygiene. It could be ventilation, it could be temperature, it could be improper, atmosphere, maybe dusty or something like that. So there are 6 sub-elements which have been introduced in that. Then moving forward, they also have given a lot of emphasis towards accident and incident reporting, as well as investigation and analysis. As you all know, whenever we talk of any incident, accident, or near miss reporting, if it is not properly investigated and brought back to the system improvement, it does not carry any meaning. So I always quote one example. In one of the industry, I had gone for audit, and I found when we reviewed the last 3 years accident statistics, in one particular year, that was just the year in which we had gone a year before, 8 accidents indicated as a end result or conclusion that there is a lack of awareness in contract workers. Now, it does not carry any meaning if you write like this, lack of awareness in the contract workers, unless we also further illustrate how this lack of awareness has been created. Is it because of improper induction of the contractor? Is it because of improper specification of the kind of manpower we are needing? or is it improper induction training which has been given to the people? So we always should look at whatever is the incident or accident. Is it, when we do the final analysis and investigation, is it going to give us back a reference for system improvement? Unless it reaches to a system improvement, the true analysis of investigation or true analysis of accident investigation will not really to that point. So here there are 5 elements which have been added to have more insight with respect to how an industry is looking towards accident and incident reporting. That means how fair they are, how open they are, how willingness is there with the top management to accept those kind of shortcomings for future improvements. Then, of course, it goes without saying that emergency preparedness on site and off site is very, very critical, because uh, whatever best we take care of in terms of hazard mitigation, there might be a possibility of some incident or accident which might happen. And under those circumstances, how we are geared up if everything goes beyond our control, what kind of emergencies could be there, and how are we prepared for that. So there are 13 sub elements covered in that. And last one is safety inspection. You may call it safety inspection. You may call it the internal inspection. You may call it as a verification assessment, or you may call it safety visits. Whatever you call it, there are 5 sub-elements in that, and it is very much in details given what kind of safety inspections we should look at. So these are total 76 elements which have been elaborated in this. Generally, to deal with this entire program, I undertake 2 days complete training program where each of the element will be discussed in depth, where also not only element, it will also be given a reference under what other codes and regulations these aspects are further covered. So the idea is that when we talk of occupational health and safety, the auditing part of it is quite elaborate. Unfortunately, that kind of elaboration, sometimes it missed out. And if it is missed out, an important aspect is not being understood. That could be a possibility of, accident or incident. So if I talk of holistic appreciation of any of this, audit aspects, general term is safety audit, but it may talk of hazard mitigation, it may talk of safety management, it may talk of reviewing the policy. So whatever you see here, directly or indirectly, everything gets covered. It may be health risk, it may be general risk, it may be examination of the work, it may be emergency tackling, it may be the compliance to regulation, verification, etc., etc. So just one slide I picked up from the internet, and I find that each of the aspects which are mentioned here, directly or indirectly, when we talk of holistic approach, has to come into this as far as safety audit is concerned. So an indicative list of types of records to be examined is also given in this new standard, which is annexed in Annexure B, and a sample checklist elaborating the various elements of occupational health and safety systems, all also given in Annexure C, which runs into almost 350 questions. And those 350 questions are nothing but minimum checkpoints when an auditor is going to the site, should have a look at that. Why I'm giving all this information to you? Because each of these questions has got a lot of meaning. And when we deliberate in 2 day sessions, obviously we are going to discuss most of these aspects, what an auditor should look at, what an auditor should really find, auditor, or you may call it assessor, you may call it verifier, what he should look at, so that the overall gaps which are found, they are adequate enough for management to take cognizance. At the same time, it is also important that once those gaps are identified, go deep into the subject, how do we enter into this aspect? The entire 350 odd questions are given, or you can say checkpoints are given. These are minimum checkpoints which one when doing audit should look at that. And also, I am very fond of delivering one subject which is called the report writing. As you can appreciate, if the report of the audit is not properly made or drafted or presented, probably it will negate the efforts of 5, 6 auditors doing this work of 3 to 5 days. And obviously, we are looking towards management to accept our audit report. And report writing is also by itself is a technique. So that's an additional subject which I always take when we talk of 2 day sessions. So session plan generally covers in day one, we talk about genesis of the program and induction. Second session definitely is OHS management industry and its significance. That means element A1. Then we talk of physical hazards, which could be mechanical, electrical hazards, which are there. It could be pathways, walkways, storage. So many aspects gets covered in that, which is element A2. And fourth session is chemical hazards and safety inspection, what is involved in that. And then on the second day, we try to cover the fire explosion and hazards and emergency preparedness plans. Generally, it's element 4 and 7 of the main, IS, which has been indicated over here. Then next session will be related to industrial hygiene, occupational health, predominantly looking at work environment, the way it is present at a particular location, and that is element 5 of the main IS. Then we look at accident investigation, reporting, and site inspection, which is covered in element 6 and 8. And the last will be definitely, as I mentioned, which I am very fond of, that how do we collect information, collate information, convert into proper recommendations so that those recommendations are accepted and adopted by the management. So that is why I say safety audit report writing is a skill. Now that skill could be called as an art or as a science. So depending upon, I always say that it is an art to write a report, but it is a science also because we have to substantiate with the facts and figures. And we talk of substantiation, that means we have to look at what are all we have seen in the field, what are all the documents which are called for, what are all the references which we have made with respect to other standards, and regulatory requirements, how the compliance part is taken. So that's why I always say it's an art as well as a science itself. So when we talk of a sort of auditing, any OHS auditing shall have a team-based approach to make it effective. You all will agree with me that when we talk of team-based approach, definitely we are looking at the team, which is the auditing team, as well as the auditee. Many times it happens that auditees are having their own difficulties, their own, what should I say, reservations, and many of the aspects do not come forth rightly. So, how do we make this team together so that we gain the ultimate purpose of what the audit is supposed to be? So, dwelling on this, I must definitely say the safety audit should be carried out with the help of multidisciplinary audit teams. Multidisciplinary means if it is a large industry, you may have mechanical, electrical, chemical, process, designer, even the operations, and also taking into account the kind of job which is required to be there as an audit. So multidisciplinary audit teams are supposed to be there to help us out. And the combination of safety audit team may vary depending upon the company, the size, the areas to be audited. However, persons concerned should have necessary and adequate experience as well as background to undertake in-depth audit in a particular discipline. Obviously, if some electrical audit has to be done, we definitely need a person with the electrical background, a person with the electrical auditing background who can try to look at in-depth gaps which are, you can try to look at in-depth aspects of the electrical engineering, electrical systems, and come out with the right kind of answers to avoid any kind of incidents or accident. Same thing happens on the mechanical side, same thing happens on the process side, same thing happens on the operation side. So a team of generally 4 to 5 experienced officials from various disciplines. It could be process production, it could be maintenance inspection, it could be electrical instrumentation, fire and or safety is always preferred to be included as part of the team, because they also will look at from the perspective how to avoid any fire situation or how to avoid any unsafe situation, unsafe condition. So there is a need for active involvement of the concerned plant or area manager for the effective OHS auditing. What really it means that auditors are always treated as an outsider, whereas the auditor, if it is treated as an extended team or extended arm, which is helping the management or the corporate or the company or the plant to improve the safety aspects, then probably it will be a win-win situation for both sides. So involvement of the uh, concerned plant or area manager or the concerned plant officer or plant manager in these kind of audits is always a helpful, and that becomes quite effective auditing because it's a mutual understanding of each other, which is looking forward for improvement as a whole. So therefore, it is very essential that all team members, even though they are expert in their discipline, they must know specific auditing techniques to give their best for the effective safety audit. Now, when I talk of specific auditing techniques, it really means that what to look at, where to look at, how the hazards are there, whether despite taking care of all hazards through systems, is there any residual hazard? Is the way of work, the practices which are being followed in the field, are they in a variance from what it was intended? So these are the aspects which one has to look at as a specific auditing techniques. Now, many times it also happens that the top management also gets involved. And when we meet the top management, they will also one-to-one confide, sir, you are a lead auditor. While you are here, please look specifically to this particular department because I am finding a lot of near misses being reported from there. So it's a some kind of a specific audit which is required to be done. So at the behest of the client, there is a general OHS auditing, but this could be something which is emphasis, which management is concerned. We should look at that. So the program is designed, whatever we say, the program is designed to train all members of different disciplines to effectively contribute and carry out the safety audit so that objective of the safety audit is achieved. You know what is the objective? Already I have mentioned 4 objectives are there, and the company whosoever has engaged the auditors gets full benefit in improving their safety performance as well as systems. So I'm once again using the word systems. I'm looking at how can we come back to the system improvement towards the safety performance in future. And system improvement, unless it is there, it will again have a recurrence of the incidences and the accidents which are continuing to be there. So we should always look at the full benefit of the any safety audit will come only when we are giving a clear guidance to the management that by looking at this, finally it will help in having a system improvement in future. So to achieve this objective, we need to bring out awareness of this revised standard and to update prospective auditors. It could be internal auditor, first party auditor, second party auditor, or third party auditor. These terms are being used. I'll just explain to you to carry out the safety, commonly termed as safety audits, as per revised IS code, and get abreast with the newer elements. Now, many times people ask, what is this first party audit, second party audit, third party audit? Many of you might be knowing it, but notwithstanding that, I think I can just try to clarify that the first party audit means it's an internal audit. That means internal teams are formulated, maybe from the same plant, maybe from the different plants, maybe from the same location, maybe from the different locations, and they try to find out the lacunas or gaps. So this is called first party audit. Unfortunately, sorry for my saying, and I'm saying very openly that in case of first party audit, invariably you save my back and I save your back. Don't scratch my back or scratch my back, I scratch your back. Those sort of philosophies happen to be there, and quite a lot of aspects which are unsafe conditions or unsafe behaviors do not come out clearly. But still, something is being done. If people are judicious, well-meaning, and looking forward the improvements, definitely internal audit or first-party audit will help the organization. It could be a single unit, multiple location unit, or pan-India unit, or MNCs. It will always help. I know one of the companies, I don't mind sharing it. I know one of the companies, it's an Indian MNC, and for the first party audit, they had engaged the external agencies like Ernst and Young or KPMG, Bureau Veritas, etc. And the reason was before it goes to third party audit, they are able to set right a lot of aspects which otherwise are looking to be a gap, and it becomes a problematic for them to face the international clients and customers with respect to the third party audits. So first party audit is very, very relevant from this perspective. And first party audit, invariably, when we talk of internal teams, I think the best people who know about the lacuna, gap, or you can say improper practices are nothing but the internal people. And internal people can always look for how to improve system as a whole, and if they are looking forward how to improve a system as a whole, obviously they will be giving a good justice to their corporation and their organization. And I always feel that internal or first party audit is very, very relevant and very, very important. People can contribute best for that, and people can have a self auditing skills which through this training program or through other training programs can be developed. A competency towards internal auditing can be developed through this 2 days program. And first party auditing, if we are doing judiciously, probably second and third party auditing may or may not be that much complicated or painsome, what we use the word. Arey yaar, so many points have been referred, so many recommendations have come. How do we take care of these recommendations? So if you want to reduce the recommendations of the third party audit, please make sure that you are giving more emphasis towards internal inspection, internal audit, multidisciplinary internal audit, and first party audit, what you call it, first party audit. So this is all about first party audit. Second party audit is generally a common understanding between the two parties. And invariably, if I can give one example, I'm trying to buy some raw material from a company, and I want to make sure that they are compliant on certain aspects of maybe IR issues, maybe HR related compliances, maybe social related compliance, or maybe financial related compliance. So I do audit for a specific purpose. So it is an audit by my team doing in their premises is called a second party audit, because these reports will not go to outside bodies. This report will remain within the two parties. So wherever there is a gap found as per my company's requirement, I will share with that company, and if they can meet those requirements, then obviously there is a possibility of engagement, either as a vendor or a supplier or whatever you call it. So second party audit is predominantly an agreement between the two parties, and that agreement is to fulfill some future businesses or is to fulfill some future requirements. That is called second party audit. Invariably, when we are having, let us say, large number of ancillary units are there for automobile industry or many other industries, so they do audit of their suppliers, and that is nothing but a second party audit. Then becomes your third party audit. third party audit really means that it's a third party, it's a neutral. It has got nothing to do with your company or a statutory body or XYZ, but they are more interested being neutral to give best as per the requirements of your corporate. So third party audits are being asked by large number of statutory bodies. They are being asked by even factory inspectorate or many other statutory bodies. And this third party auditor should be well qualified, well experienced, well versed, and more importantly, should be versed with the latest, not only techniques, but latest IS code, which we are talking about over here. I'm sorry to say, number of places the this code of 2018 is not being propagated or is not being adopted by some of the third party auditors. They are still going in an old way, whereas this new code has come about in 2018, but still people are following the 31 element code which I mentioned earlier. So when we talk of third party auditing, obviously we look at in a holistic way, we look at the entire aspect of the approach which has to be adopted from the perspective of 76 elements instead of going by the old 31 elements. So third party auditor, many of you might be henceforth making sure if you are looking for safety audit, you must also specifically mention with respect to IS code 14489 revision 2018. If you write that, then you will get a very detailed, comprehensive safety audit, which will look towards a effectiveness and improvement for future reference with respect to safety performance of the organization. So the emphasis what I'm trying to make here is that effective OHS auditing, though it is a team-based approach, but at the same time, it is what you need, what you seek, what you ask. If you are not specifically mentioning, then obviously the third party auditors may sometimes not dwell too much in depth with respect to these elements. But all the multinational auditing companies or third party inspection and auditing companies, or for that matter, National Safety Council, etc., they are they are all always looking at the OHS auditing with respect to all these 76 elements. So a session like this will definitely, if we are talking of 2 day session, it will be very, very useful in enhancing the auditing skills in line with the new developments and the additional elements and its intended or prospective, both from the third party inspection agency point of view, as well as from the auditee point of view. Now, why I'm using this word auditee point of view? Because when the most of the time auditees feel it's a burden onto them. Oh my God, so many external members have come. What kind of preparedness I should have? What kind of questions they will ask? Many anxieties are there. So even when auditees attend such programs, they will be also conversant with what kind of preparedness they should have. And in this preparedness, one is the mental preparation, second is the document preparation. If the document preparation is done ahead of time, then auditing becomes a cakewalk. But if the document preparation is not done and the kind of questionnaires which suddenly come, or the auditors ask some questions and people are not mentally prepared or not prepared with the documents, proper documents, then it becomes a point of concern and it becomes a, I should say, a point of bickering or discomfort for the auditing. So when we take this program of 2 days, we definitely try to look at how to improve the auditing skills from the auditor's point of view, as well as from the auditee point of view. So it provides guidelines for evaluating the effectiveness of the various programs, verifying the availability and implementation of elements of OHS system which is there. This approach also verifies systems ability to achieve defined safety objects. When we talk of systems ability, we are definitely looking at what are the prevailing systems in the corporate and what kind of what kind of essence it comes out when they are talking of internal reporting, when they are talking of monthly reports, when they are talking of shortcomings, when they are talking of hazard identification or trying to give their inspection. There's so many aspects they get covered in that. So the effective OHS auditing will also verify system's ability as prevailing over there to achieve the defined safety objective. We always say we are looking towards zero, grand zero. Zero means zero. Zero means zero safety, zero incident, zero, accident. But how do we achieve it? Is our system has got that kind of ability to reach towards that, or it is just a corporate gospel which everybody is using it? So I'm trying to give
Sorry
you,
to interrupt, sir.
yeah,
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Is this the last slide or it is not moving?
it is where you are at. It is my 25th slide.
Yes, sir. There's effective OHS auditing a team
Yeah,
approach.
yeah, it is continuing.
Yes.
Slide number 25. Any problems?
No, sir. A lot of people are putting it in the chat box. The slide is not moving. So just wanted to know.
Then only way is that I stop sharing and reshare it. No problem. I'll just stop share and reshare again.
Yes, sir.
Has it come now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So looking at what we looked at, verify system ability to achieve defined safety objectives. Then this standard focuses on general OHS audit to be carried out in industries, including major accident hazard industries. Specific audits can be carried out in high-risk operations or when there is a high frequency of incidents or accidents which are there. So when we talk of high-risk operations, we really mean where there are possibilities of high-risk jobs which are being done. Could be handling of flammable materials, could be possibilities of leakage and not to have a kind of repetition of Bhopal incidents, etc., etc. So any high risk industry has to look at in a very detailed and focused manner. And this particular standard gives us a lot of reference how to focus on auditing with respect to major high risk operations which are there in any industry. So based on the identified elements, the type of hazards and nature of work carried out, a detailed safety audit checklist for conducting the audit should be developed. So depending upon the type of industry, depending upon the type of location, depending upon what you have been asked as part of the auditing team, you have to prepare your own checklist. You have to develop a checklist based on what we are looking at or what the client is looking at. So this aspect, I will just give you one more insight to this. In this particular, standard, they have given the definition of the occupational health and safety audit. It says that a systematic, objective, documented, and independent evaluation to determine whether the activities conform to the requirements of the occupational health safety systems and procedures. Now, if you see, there are four predominant words which have come over here. One is systematic. So it has not to be haphazard. It has to be a systematic approach of auditing. Second is the objective of auditing should be very clear, both with the auditors as well as with the auditee. Third is that it has to be well documented. Documented means the kind of observations which are there, the kind of finally the reports which will be prepared, it has to be properly documented. And the third party audit will give an independent evaluation. Most important, they will give an independent evaluation comparing various aspects of standards which are there, various aspects of protocols which are there, various aspects of statutory requirements which are there, and then they give their recommendation with respect to conformance, whether it is conforming the requirements or not, or if there are lacunae or gaps that gets identified over here. So it is with respect to safety systems and procedures of occupational health and safety systems and procedures. This is how the audit has been defined in this particular IS. It also says we need to note the following. Why I'm trying to highlight it, because this is what the broad reference comes. Henceforth, in this document, only words audit shall be used in place of words occupational health and safety audit. Just a definition which is given there. The audit typically applies to, but is not limited to, a safety system or elements thereof, and is applicable to process, products, or to services. So process means how a particular aspect has been dealt with, what kind of processes are followed. I'm not talking of the chemical process, I'm talking of the processes being followed to take care of the safety. What kind of products are involved, and what kind of services which are being rendered either by the company or by others to this company. And such audits are often called as safety system audit, or process safety audit, and service safety audit. So depending upon when we are preparing for the audit itself, depending upon what companies needs are, we have to specifically ask what exactly they are looking at. Are they looking at safety system audit? Are they looking at process safety audit? Are they looking at service safety audit? Or they are looking at all three? So our checklist will have to be prepared in line with what the specification has been given by the client. So there are two types of audit, internal and external. External audits are those carried out by agencies external to the auditee organization, which I have just deliberated a few minutes ago. Internal audits are those carried out by employees designated by the management for this purpose. Such employees may be selected preferably from amongst those not having direct responsibility in the area being audited, having no responsibility for implementation of these recommendations. And that is how the neutrality will come. We are talking of the person who is doing the audit should be neutral. And that neutrality will come when this kind of employees are selected to do the audit, or designed, or I should say designated to do the audit. It also says one of the objective of audit is to identify areas for continual improvement. And definitely this IS is trying to help in giving those insights with respect to continual improvement. So audit should not be confused with periodic safety inspection activities performed by the plant personnel for the purpose of checking effectiveness of implementation of safety system, but it should be a independent reference with respect to the control measures which are placed, so that there is no gap, and those gaps, if identified, they will definitely lead towards the improvement in the safety. So this is what they have said. Then there's another definition which is important, I thought I will highlight here. That's the occupational health and safety system. We talk of audit, we also must have a reference of the system, and that is defined as organizational structure, organizational responsibilities, procedures, processes, and resources specified by top management of an organization as required for implementing the objectives. So obviously, they are again talking of 4 or 5 important words. That is the organizational structure. What kind of structure is in place with respect to this department or this section, or the responsibilities, how they have been given. Is it just a one-man show, or is it a complete system is there in place so that the organization, so what is the organized structure? Then how the responsibilities are defined for an individual who are going to take care of the system as a whole, who are going to take care of the safety as a whole. What procedures have been laid down, what practices are being followed, what checklists are there that need to be looked at. Then what are the processes if there is something going wrong? Is there any way by which people can stop the work? Is there any way that where people are empowered for cause for a cause? So that becomes the reference point over here. And what kind of resources have been deployed? Is the resource adequate, or is there inadequacy in the resource, or resources are there but they have been used for many other purposes besides safety? So when we look at the system, we always have to look at from the top management what kind of empowerment in our organization has been given to these people or these professionals who are actually implementing the occupational health and safety objectives of the corporation, which is nothing but so-called big zero, zero incident, zero accident, and so on and so forth. So here, there is also highlighted notes are there. Henceforth, in this document, only word OHS shall be used in place of words occupation. So this is what they have defined in the standard. The areas to be covered are given in X-ray, which I just referred, and there are 8 elements in that, subsections in that, and each of the subsection there are number of elements. This is what I mentioned a while ago. Then OHS system should only be as comprehensive as is needed to meet the objective. Comprehensive does not mean complicated. Comprehensive means taking care of end-to-end requirements so that whether it is budgeting, whether it is allocation of funds, whether it is utilization of funds, whether it is the right resources, whether it is right tools and tackles, right kind of empowerment to the people, all this becomes as a comprehensive in the OHS system. So this is what, when we talk of system, we need to look at, is the system defined by the corporate or the company or the unit is comprehensive enough to meet the objectives which are set as so-called zero. So this standard can be used as a guideline for self-demonstration of conformance to IS or ISO 45001 to the others, and for compliance to IS 15793. Why I'm saying this? Because this is very predominantly mentioned in the IS 14489, saying that if you follow the current 76 element auditing philosophy, that means we are becoming close to self demonstration of conformance to ISO 45001 as well. Also, you can say that it is close to compliance of IS 15793. And what exactly it is, IS 45001 stands for Occupational Health Safety Management System Requirements with guidance for use, that is second revision. And second one is IS 15793 2007, that means Managing Environment, Occupational Health and Safety, Legal Compliance Requirements of Good Practices. So these two aspects or these two standards also gets indirectly covered if we are following the auditing protocol with respect to IS 14489 of 2018. So there are regular and conventional items in this code, such as what are the audit goals and objectives, which were there in earlier code also, and it is mentioned here also. Roles and responsibilities of lead auditor and the auditors have been defined. Auditors' duties and attributes of the auditors, that is also defined. Roles and responsibilities of auditees is also defined. Then planning for auditing, how do you plan? How do you prepare for auditing, both by auditee and auditor? That is also defined. And audit team assignment, how do you work out on the assignments of the individual audit team and how to carry it out. Plus, they have also given pre-audit questionnaire of preliminary information. So if you ask me, all these elements which I have mentioned here are already part of the previous IS code. That means the zero edition, which was there 1998, and these items we all know, so I will not dwell on any of these items. And even when we are having a 2 days seminar, there also will touch upon, but will not go deep into this subject because already known to most of the people. But if somebody is keen, we can also dwell on that. Then Also, there are regular requirements and regular items which are there in the code. Execution, how to do the execution of OHS audit, opening meeting, the way it is to be handled or held with the auditee, then presentation by auditee to get abreast with the current practices and procedures or safety records of the corporate or the unit. So presentation by the auditee. Then after the audit is over, observations during auditing has to be shared with the auditee senior team. If there are matters of critical concern, they are to be highlighted right in that meeting. And then collating of the information has to be done in this auditing reporting, final reporting, and then draft report should be prepared and submitted. Again, there are timelines generally agreed between the auditee and auditor corporate, and accordingly, the audit reports are prepared and they are submitted. Now, action of implementation of OHS audit recommendations are to be done by the company who is engaging the auditors. And based on that action plan, we call it CAPA also compliance action plan, or we call it, compliance action plan of the audit or compliance action plan of the confirmation. Or if there are NCs, we call it as how to do the compliance to these non-conformances, etc., etc. So the recommendations are to be adopted or implemented by the auditee company, and they must have a time-based philosophy of doing it. So these are the elements which I said in an extra day. Now I'll also try to take some time with respect to what are the documents which are required for reviewing, which have been listed over here in this particular, new standard, and they are to be referred. And whenever you are going for the audit, you can always ask the corporate that they should be ready with these documents so that it consumes lesser time for going through these documents and also trying to get into the task or brass tack, what we call it. So OHS policy, safety organization chart, training records on safety, fire or first aid, records of plant safety inspections, accident investigation reports, accidents, dangerous occurrences, near miss incidences, statistics analysis, record of test and examinations of requirement or equipment or structures as per statutes which are there, standard operating procedures for various operations which are being undertaken by the corporate, records of work permit system. Generally, we review last 3 years records, and there we try to see how the work permit is made, what are the what are the hazards which are identified, what are the protocols which have been asked to be followed before the work really starts. The record of work environment monitoring, flammable, toxic, or explosive substance, maintenance, testing, and calibration records of fire detection, fire equipment systems, medical records of employees, because we are talking of occupational health. So we need to look at the trend analysis of the medical outcome which is there. Invariably, records will be available, but the trend analysis never prepared or done. And trend analysis really indicates that the occupational hazard, is it going towards higher side or has it been contained? Or if there are deteriorations in the health of the individual, is it on account of what we call it as genetic deterioration because of age, or is it because of some kind of a conditions under which the individual working, which is causing a concern for the individual? So industrial hygiene survey like noise, ventilation, illumination, dust, etc. What kind of working conditions are there? Are they doing these internal observations and audits on these sites or not? Then material safety data sheet for all the chemicals which are being used or hazardous materials which are being used, and whether these material safety data sheets are updated or they are supplied by the vendor who has supplied it, or is it just downloaded from the internet. So these are the few things which you will observe which can happen. Then on-site emergency plan and record for mock drills. Generally, it is warranted that people should have a mock drill every 3 months Some people do it even for every month. And on-site emergency plan has also to be seen whether it is prepared or not. And mock drills, it should not be only one scenario being taken every time. Rather, there should be a variations of scenario. And reports of shortage of hazardous solid waste, storage of hazardous and solid waste, and how these solid wastes are being disposed, what kind of protocol is being followed in terms of environmental compliances or compliances towards hazardous waste material disposal, and records of gaseous emissions and effluent discharge to the environment, then housekeeping inspection records. So these are minimal which are indicated. Minutes of safety meetings, safety committee meetings, statutory licenses, approvals, duly updated, current, uh, which should be of the current life. Then records of any modification carried out in the plant or processes, maintenance procedures and records, instrumentation and equipment calibration testing records, planned shutdown maintenance procedures, in-service inspection manuals, records, including that of material handling. Then OHS budget, most important is budget is not there, but we talk many things, how the compliance will happen. Then are there any inspection books and other statutory records which are being maintained? Records of previous audits and safety analysis. Procedures for safe transportation of hazardous substances, both incoming as well as within the plant movement, which are there. Calibration records, it could be, trip circuits, it could be the various identification, various identification instruments which are there. Then records for breakdown of plants during the process of manufacture, records of waste material generated and their disposal. And today we are talking of 3R. How are we reducing the waste generation itself? Then SOP for disposal of waste material, records for issue of PPE items to the personnel working over there. Just I'll give you one example because I know time is running short. So I'll give you one example. When we take one particular, A1 as the annexure, and there we talk of ONHS management, whatever is written in the black were the earlier elements which were there in the earlier IS code. But in our current code, whatever is marked with the red, they are the new elements which have been added. So if we look at each of the element wise or each of the section wise, which are the 8 sections, you will find there are definitely new elements. And when we take these 2 days program, we talk not only about the current elements, but we also talk about the new elements. And especially new elements, we also talk about what kind of check you should have or what kind of confirmation you should have when you are going to the site visit or when you are doing the audit part of it. It could be internal audit or it could be external audit. It is useful for both the types of people who are getting engaged in doing the safety audits as a part of the system. So one of the references or one of the examples I have shown over here, which will be of some reference for you. So as I started in the beginning, the entire aspect with respect to safety auditing is, or the moral booster, which is nothing but accident reduction. And if we are talking of accident reduction, definitely it's a moral booster for the employees who are working in a particular organization. We are also looking at the identification of gaps. That means the current status with respect to desired stage, and those gaps, depending upon what time frame we are asked, what kind of area of emphasis we are asked, accordingly we have to identify the gaps, and based on those gaps, the action plan will be defined. But when we identify the gap, we also have to convert it into right kind of a recommendation, the recommendation which is palatable to the organization, which is important, which is doable. The recommendation cannot be close this plant. The recommendation has to be a doable recommendation. That is most important. That is where auditors, NAC or auditors expertise comes into play. That how do we help the client or how do we help the auditee that they are able to bridge the gap of the desired stage, maybe short term, long term, medium term recommendations can be there. if there is a major financial outgo, probably we can give in 2 stages or 3 stages recommendations, which could be possible for implementation and taking care of the safety aspects. Of course, aiming at 5-star safety means safety performance measurement should improve. The scale should go up with respect to leading indicators. The more the leading indicators are, the more we are moving towards the 5-star rating of the safety. So everybody is aiming at a 5-star rating, or everybody is aiming at improvement in safety standards or improvement in safety in an organization. And last but not the least, we are looking at bottom line improvement. So bottom line improvement definitely will come if there are no safety incidents or accidents. Obviously, it is going to improve the bottom line. So what I started in the beginning as 4 parameters which are to be looked into, at the end of the session, I will definitely say all these 4 paramount parameters can be achieved if we are adopting the IS code, which I have elaborated over here. If we are doing the so-called auditing, or you can say assessment, or you can say comparison, or you can say verification with respect to this new IS code, it will help the organization in all these 4 areas. So thank you very much. I have tried to cover in the time which is given to me, and now we can have a question answer session. I will come out from the sharing and let us have a open heart
Yes, sir.
chat.
Yes, sir. The first question is from Mr. Ravu Gawande. He is asking, sir, if you explain more in detail importance of near miss incidents, reporting, analyzing, etc., as in electrical, mostly neglected by supervisors and management.
Right. So near miss is one which really means that if it happened to be there, there is going to be an incident or accident. That's the near miss. And near miss could be a situation, or could be a condition. And every near miss condition or situation has to be properly analyzed. And after that analysis, we have to make sure that near misses are duly translated into a system improvement. Not only system improvement, but also it should be shared with the rest of the lot. I'll give you one example. One of the companies I went, I'm talking of more than 12 years back. And that time it was really a new insight for me. The company was a PSU, and they were not only looking at near misses, but they were also, whatever near miss is there, after the near miss evaluation has been done, analysis has been done, they'll prepare a small, I should say, animation film, and that animation film will be continuously running in canteens or in common places where people can see. So the purpose or the advantage of looking at near misses, how to improve for future, how to bring about the awareness in the minds and thoughts of the people, so that that near miss does not happen again. So the purpose of near miss is very, very important. I'll give you one more example, which is quite pertinent, and straight away it comes to my mind. In one of the large organizations I happened to go, and I was just looking at HSC records, and I was surprised to see that that particular organization had a near miss reported as 29,682. I still remember the figure in the previous year. I was quite shocked. How can it be so many? So the people told me that, sir, our current executive director is very particular and he is promoting near misses. I said, but if you are having so many near misses, where is the team for analyzing it? No, sir, we have started first getting it, and we are analyzing also. Separate 15 people have been identified who are analyzing it. And he said that because of this so to say, promotion or imposition or encouragement by the top management, a lot of near misses are being reported, which earlier were not coming to the site. And we also know, because of this near miss reporting, maybe one item is being repeated by 10 people. But notwithstanding that, when we analyze, finally we are coming to a real good number of about 1,500 or 1,600. And maybe over a period of time of 6 months or so, people will understand that what is really to be reported and what need not be reported multiple times. So that is how they had improved their safety records to such an extent. Almost for 3 years till that gentleman was there was no fatality, there was no major incident or accident, though a very large expansion project was also going on over there. After 3 4 years, this gentleman moved to some other project or some other assignment, and when the new incumbent came, I'm sorry for my using these words, but I am using these words very cautiously. When this happened, the new gentleman came and he said, why these 15 people are sitting in OHS department trying to analyze the near misses? Let them go into the field and let them do the job. Already near miss reporting, enough is enough. And immediately within 6 months, there were an incident, accident, major accident, and 5 fatalities. So we have to appreciate the near misses are the indicators or leading indicators for us to protect from likely incidents or accident. I hope it is clear. Yeah,
Okay, so the next question is from Ms. Pallavi Mukherjee.
yeah.
She said, hello, Baveja sir. Thank you. I have a case study where we are doing currently safety audits for a principal client. Further, we are doing audits for their clients who have their manufacturing plants on lease spaces given by principal client. So what type of audit it is called? Is it second party audit? That's the
If
question.
you are doing on behalf of a client and that's the agreement between two of them and you are doing the specific audit on behest of one party to assess the other party, it's a second party audit. It's not a third party audit.
Okay, so the next question is from Mr. Beamesh. How this audit different from ISO 45001 audit if a company is certified for ISO 45001?
Yeah, a very good question. As I said, this particular audit, if you are following this protocol, I am using the word protocol, and all these elements, you have become very close to self, what should I say, self-sufficient in terms of facing ISO 45000. ISO 45000, what are the elements which are required? This particular way of auditing is a precursor for you to get ready for ISO 45000. ISO 45000 has got some specific elements related to occupational health and safety, whereas here we are talking of generic. There, some of the in 45000, some of the reference is more made towards environment as well. I hope it is clarified, Vimesh ji. Yeah.
Yes, sir. The next question is it the responsibility of audit team to prepare the checklist by them, as said by you, or the team to use checklists already documented in IS or OISD or CEA standards?
I will say this question is also quite interesting because when you are going for an audit and when you say you are preparing yourself, you have to prepare according to the company where you are visiting, based on their manufacturing line, based on their area of work, based on their likely high hazard activities which are there. So you need to prepare checklist, though you may take a reference of the checkpoints which are given in the document, but from that checkpoint you have to convert it into specific to what audit you are going to do.
Before we move on to the next question, so many people have raised their hands. So can I allow them to talk first?
Sorry.
Before we move on to the next question, a lot of people have raised their hand. So can I allow them to talk?
Yeah, please. If the questions are over, then we can allow them to talk.
Okay, sir. Okay. Then the next question is from Mr. Amit. Is that party or second party audit similar to the internal and external audit, or there is any specific difference? Please elaborate.
Yes. First party audit and internal audit is same. Internal audit and first party audit is same because it is the internal people or within the company, multidisciplinary people are doing the audit. So it is same. There is no difference between first party audit versus internal audit. I'm using the word audit, not the inspection. Inspection could be routine inspection, daily inspection, weekly inspection. But when there is a multidisciplinary team looking at these aspects, then we call it as an internal audit.
The next question is from Mr. Amit. Any specific educational requirement for the safety auditor, which is mentioned in the Indian standards for complaints point of view?
See, I will try to answer this question in a different way. Quite a lot of companies are conducting the audit training program. They say you will become auditor or lead auditor. So maybe you would like to attend those programs. It is more of an insight to get into the subject. But notwithstanding that, the basic requirement, what you need to have is the expertise or some kind of a knowledge of the plant for which you are going to do the audit. So some knowledge with respect to processes, some knowledge with respect to their engineering or the equipments is essential for you to know.
Okay, the next question is from Mahendra Chilkuri. He's asking, how do you verify the documents and practices are same?
Once again, can I please elaborate this question?
How do you verify that documents and practices are same?
Oh, very good question. Say documents write and scribe. You have to understand from the document, and when you go around the field, you will find many things which are gap. I'll give you a simple example. Document says that we have trained everybody for operation and maintenance. And once I went to one of the operating plants and I asked the operator, have you gone through the O&M manual? नहीं सर, हमको जो डिप्टी मैनेजर बोलता है हम तो वही करते हैं, हमको जो प्लांट मैनेजर बोलता है हम तो वही करते हैं. So you very clearly get an indication or insight that what is the kind of gap which is persisting. Just to give you an example. Yeah.
The next question is from Mr. Chilkuri. Most institutions in India do not practice safety, but show papers and documents.
Not clear. Question is not clear.
It is not a question, sir. He's just made a statement. Most institutions in India do not practice safety, but show papers and documents.
See, unless you verify in the field, you will not be able to come to the gap. When we are talking of the gap, we have to make a visit to the field and get ourselves abreast with what physically is happening at the ground level. It is not a document assessment.
The next question.
Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah, the next question is from Mr. Vinod. What is criticality of educating and creating awareness to the contract workers to reduce the safety incidents in industries? Please share your valuable comments.
I think we should have a separate session on the quality of the contract workers and quality of the engagement of the contractors. It's a philosophy by itself, but notwithstanding that, in a brief, I can share that we have to specify what we want. Invariably, we do not specify what we want, and in the process, we get saddled with the wrong type of people. Are we specifying in our contract that what kind of what kind of safety expert we want as part of the contractor? We only simply say 3 supervisors and 20 workforce. Why are we not specifying what should be the qualification of supervisor? What should be his knowledge about safety? What should be his knowledge about compliance towards various standards? Most important is that. So this is what we have to, refine our tender documents, refine our technical specifications. If the tender documents and specifications are well refined, then obviously the gaps will be less. So we have to create more clear understanding before we engage a contractor. And when we are engaging a contractor, very important is that how do you define the scope of work and your requirements in a very precise manner. One example I'll give you here. Some of the civil contract, they mentioned that you will be doing scaffolding and doing painting in my building. The guy came with a bamboo scaffolding, and the plant said we don't permit bamboo scaffolding. You should bring the iron scaffolding or pipe scaffolding. The cost was 10 times higher. Obviously, the party, because he has not thought over it, he will be having a problem to work on that. Had it been specified right in the tender, there would have been no confusion. So we have to always be very specific about the kind of equipments what we are expecting from him, the kind of tools and tackles what we are expecting from him, the kind of job what we are expecting from him, and the kind of expertise what we are expecting from him. If you give more in details, you'll be more comfortable to deal with that. This is what my personal experience is, which I am sharing it with you. Thank you.
Next question is from Mr. Ashok Dar. He's asking, what is the difference between safety audit and OHS audit?
There's no difference. Safety audit is a colloquial term which is being used instead of using expanded terms of occupational health, safety, and environment audit. Many times the audits are covered in a different aspect. It may be fire and safety audit, it may be safety audit, it may be occupational health audit. So there are different, it may be electrical audit, it may be mechanical audit, but instead of that, the general parlance we say safety audit, and safety audit includes all aspects what we have referred in the elements which I just shared with you. It could be mechanical, electrical, operations, processes which are there, and how it is being dealt in an organization. And that is what we look at towards the auditing part of it. Yeah.
Okay, sir. One question from Mr. Amol Nitham. He's asking, what is safety related deficiency in safety inspection element?
What is safety related?
Safety related deficiency in safety inspection element.
Deficiency could be in any way. It could be starting from the improper PPs per se. Quite possible the PPs which have been adopted by the contractor or by our own people is not the right fit. That could be one of the straight away the deficiency in safety, or upkeep of the such gadgets which are to be used. For example, BA set is meant for using through the mouth, and if it is not properly kept hygiene way, it is going to be a carelessness as far as safety is concerned. So we have to look at various aspects which are there. We have to look at how the safety team who is at the plant is taking care of all these aspects which are related under their control or under their system.
Yeah. What is it from Mr. Vinod? What is the key responsibility of top management on improving occupational health and safety system in the organization? Please
I'll
throw
ask,
some light on this context.
very nice. I will say it's a very good question. As far as top management is concerned, the top management is to institutionalize the system which will help in organization leading towards zero incident, zero accident, zero incident, zero accidents, and full faith in the people who are going to do the work over there. So top management has to ensure the system installation, the procedure installation, the right kind of resources which are supposed to be there, the right kind of equipment which is supposed to be there. This is what the top management's role is. And if you see in a factory inspectorate or electrical inspectorate or any of these inspectorates, two terms are being used. One is called occupier and second is called plant manager. The occupier's responsibility, if you read there, it very clearly says that occupier is supposed to be responsible for anything happening in their plant and systems and places of work. But he has to ensure that all systems are made in such a way, designed in such a way that it will not to lead any kind of incidents, accident. Whereas plant manager's definition is he should ensure that people comply to those systems which are set and designed by the top management. So there is a very clear-cut definition and difference between the top management versus the plant manager. So I hope it clarifies to your question.
The next question is from Mr. Davies. What is your opinion on planned audit versus surprise audits to avoid window dressings?
Plant audit or surprise check, what we may use the word surprise check or planned audit. The simple situation is that in a planned audit, many times people are able to take care of the surface causes, which otherwise could have been led to an incident or accident. So we have to look at the audit from that perspective. And whatever audit we are doing, the reference should be given with respect to what has been asked to us. Even if it is a planned audit, many of the aspects which are gaps of the current practices or the practices which are being not really followed the way it is expected can always be identified and can always be highlighted.
Next question is from Shasadik Pasha. He's asking, sir, as a part of audit, what are all the point to be considered in EPP while working in existing campus where 15K employees are working to execute the civil work?
The entire PP is, there is a big subject, and depending upon the type of the job, you have to define the PPs. Type of job means the hazards which are there. Which hazard you are protecting the people from. According to that, the PP has to be there. Suitable PP has to be there, whether it is a safety glove or whether it is a arc flash suit or whether it is a goggles or whatever you call it, has to protect the people from the likely hazard. Under worst conditions, from the likely hazard, it should prevent it.
The next question is from Mr. Amit. ISO Guide 51 defines safety as freedom from risk, which is not tolerable. How does an auditor define what is tolerable?
See, there are targets set by the organization. Whether those targets are being met or not, the target is very simple: zero incident, zero accident. And if zero is not met, that means there is some gap. And that is where we have to find out where are the hazards, where are the gaps, where are the possibilities of some incident or accident which can happen. It could also be with respect to behavior of the people. It could also be with respect to site conditions. So we are looking at two aspects simultaneously. One is the condition, which we call it as a hazardous condition or unsafe condition. Second is unsafe behavior. So these two aspects in the field will clearly illustrate where there is a need for a scope for improvement.
The next question is from Mr. Hari. He's asking which industry need to do third-party safety audit as per 14489.
As per
Which industry need to do third-party safety audit as per IS 14489?
all industries. As per Factories Act, they say that you have to do the third-party audit, and third-party audit should follow this protocol.
Okay. The next question is from Mr. Santosh. He's asking how we can study annual health checkup reports and how analysis can be done on the same to get hidden occupational health hazards.
My suggestion would be, can you have one-to-one discussion with me? I'll try to clarify it to you. It's quite a detailed answer required. So we can have one-to-one discussion and clarify.
Okay. One more
Yes,
question from Ms. Pallavi. Can you throw some light on the priority ranking for audits, high, medium, and low? Can you define it precisely? Like, is it time bound and severity of risk should be the indicator?
Uh, there are different types of organizations and different types of mindset of the top management. According to that mindset of the top management, you have to really define. I'll give you two, three examples which will give some more clarity on this. Let us say, if it is an oil and gas sector, obviously everybody is looking towards fire safe situation. And fire is the most colossal, likely damaging uh, uh, item, and fire safety gets a topmost priority. So obviously, management will look at that. Secondly, most of the managements, they look at if there are non-compliances towards the standards, non-compliances towards any of the statutory standards which are there. And if non-compliances are there, the management will always pay a full attention to that because it's nothing but a legal requirement. So mostly the top management will look at the legal requirements first, and then they will look at what next which can give a disastrous damage to their organization or disastrous damage to name and fame of the organizations. So many companies, they are worried about the fame. Many companies, they are worried about financial losses. Many companies, they are worried about non-compliances itself. All MNCs will 100% look at non-compliance to be a critical issue for operating in a different country altogether. So they look at industries, country-specific compliances as a first motto. So we have to look from that perspective. And whenever you are doing the, audit report writing, I think in that I generally cover this particular aspect, that what way we should collate the information, translate into recommendation, and prepare our recommendations in a right manner.
Next question is from Mr. Yuvaraja. Is boilers inspection is different from plant inspection?
Boiler inspection is only one particular aspect of the whole plant. Boiler is only one small item in the whole plant. When we talk of OHS audit, it encompasses anything and everything. So boiler alone is only related to boilers pressure part inspection, boilers pressure test, boiler safety valve setting. Those aspects are there.
Yeah. The last question from Mr. Satik Basha. He's asking, hi sir, I am there in the construction industry with the MNC company where all client will talk about safety, but budget will not be allocated for safety. How it should be identified in audit?
देखिए ऐसा है, ऑडिटर को पठाओ और उसको बोला यार लिख दो इसमें कि ये इनएडिक्वेट फाइनेंस है और बिकॉज ऑफ लैक ऑफ फाइनेंस दिस non compliances are happening. So obviously there you can take help of the auditor to set right your scores wherever you want. Yes, I agree that sometimes we talk big, but when it comes to implementation, due recognition of accidents are not there, and because of that inadequate funds are adequate funds are not available to comply with the requirements. Okay.
The questions are over, so can we go
Yeah.
on to the participants who raise their hand?
Yeah, we can take a group photograph if you want. All of you can come on the still some questions are there.
No sir, all done.
Very
Yeah,
good.
only one question is there. Ideal time gap between two successive internal audits from Mr.
It is
Arvind Bhatia.
defined as per Factories Act. It is defined as per Environmental Act. It is defined as per various other statutes. So you can go through that, and accordingly you can plan it. Generally, it is once in a year, or some companies they themselves look forward for twice in a year. Some companies are doing internal audit every quarter of their own, with the help of a third party auditor. Internally they are doing it, so to improve their, not to get into a wrong side of the wrong side of their records, so they try to do it. So it depends upon companies proactiveness towards improving safety.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
We
please.
have Mr. Chandan Gupta. Could you
Yeah.
please unmute yourself, sir? Mr. Chandan Gupta. Okay. Okay. Can we move to Dr. Vaibhav Jain? Dr. Vaibhav Jain? No. Okay. Ms. Pallavi Mukherjee, please unmute yourself, no? Madam?
Yeah. Hi, sir.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. It was really nice. So many times industries people approach us for doing audits, and they specifically emphasize on dish auditors. Now, dish auditors for Maharashtra. So dish auditors and safety auditors, they are, I mean,
They are
they
same. They are same.
report.
Only thing is they are qualified by the Department of Dish,
Okay.
Department of Ministry of Labor. They are qualified through them, and they are empaneled with them. So dish
Okay.
auditor is quite okay and
And DG,
strong in engaging them. Only thing is, when you are engaging dish auditors, please emphasize to go through this IS. As per this IS, they should do the audit.
right.
That means all 76 elements.
Okay. Yeah.
If they are doing it, absolutely no problem.
So DG firstly approved
If
auditors
they are
also
not
can
doing it,
be.
you can call me as additional person.
Great, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Gururaj. Mr. Gururaj, could you please unmute yourself, sir?
Mr. Muralidhara wants to say something. Yes, Mr.
Yeah, Mr.
Muralidhara.
Muralidhara said, yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Here, I am also a Government of India Safety Auditor as per IS 14429.
Very good.
My query is, I have conducted more than 75 to 80 14489 auditors. In that, 50% of industries claim that we are not.
The question is dropping, sir. Your voice
Are
is
you able to hear
dropping,
me
dear.
now? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, now it is okay.
No, I have conducted more than 75 to 80 IS
Audits, yeah.
14489 audit. But the clients claim that we are not covered under licensed under Factories Act Section 2 CB. For example, they will be having carbon sulfide or something, some hazardous liquid nitrogen 20 30 tons, but it is not listed under Section 2 CB Schedule 2.
Okay.
Then how can we convince
But they have
them?
got some other license, no? They have got chemical handling license.
Under PESO.
Huh?
Under
Under
PESO, they
PESO.
are
PESO
qualified.
also says auditing to be done.
But
PESO
it does
also
not
specifies
specify that
auditing
they
as
should
per this
undergo
ISO. No, PESO
Section 2
also
CB.
specifies auditing per year.
So that's my query, how to convince these people, and we need to recommend to the dish or directorates of specific states that they should mention in their license that you are covered under Factories Act Section 2 CB.
No. Sorry. See, Factories Act very clearly says what is defined as a factory. With respect to number of people engaged by the company and the power consumption which is there in that company. So there are two parameters which specifies the term factory. And the term factory, if it is only two people, it not be called as a factory, but they might be doing a hazardous chemical work, you know, for all you know. So obviously, since the number of people engaged by them is less than the threshold number, they will not come into the ambit of factory inspectorate. Notwithstanding that, there are other compliances which they are supposed to do, and those compliances very clearly say they should do the auditing.
Yes, I know that.
Explosive Act also it says the auditing. Your hazardous chemical storage and handling code also says you should do the auditing. So auditing cannot be ruled out. Auditing has to be there. Only frequency might be differing. Somewhere it says once in 2 years, somewhere it says every year, somewhere it says depending upon the kind of, I should say, high risk areas it's being defined.
Anyway, thanks for your advice, sir.
My pleasure, dear.
Thank you, sir.
Can we now close it, ma'am? Lakshmi, ma'am?
Sir, last question, may I? Bhimesh.
Oh, yes, yes, Bhimesh ji. All for
Sir,
you.
namaste. Namaste. Simple question, sir. I'm fine, sir. Thanks for the session, sir. It was really wonderful. Just I wanted to know, is DG Fastly still conducting this kind of auditor certification course under as per IS 14489?
I'm not too sure about DG Fastly, but definitely National Safety Council of India is doing it. Even I, along with one of my colleagues, Mr. Ashok Raichur, we are planning to conduct it in the near future.
Yes, sir. I understand that, but maybe one of state government rules in Karnataka is specifying that DG Fastly certified auditor should be deployed for this kind of audit.
Certified auditor is something different. DG Fastly certified auditors are those who have paid some fee and who have been empaneled with them as an auditor. So they have to pass some exam. They have to, Central Labor Institute conduct some exams. They have to pass that exam and they become the auditors of DigiFastly.
Okay, okay. That process is going on. Okay,
Yes.
understood, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. I'm Muralidhar once again.
Thank you. Thank you very
Sir,
much.
Muralidhar here. Can I speak? Hello?
Hello.
Once again, Muralidhar here, sir.
Hanji, boliye.
I know that a few people are requesting to DG Fastly to conduct this test. It is better. All the industries recommend to again conduct. And for example, I am also approved safety auditor, which is listed in the internet DG Fastly site. But after that, it has not been conducted, as I know. I am also following with our Karnataka Directorate to have some training on the 74489 because it specifies that the engineer or diploma holder should have minimum 5 to 7 years experience. And
Right.
I have gone through the tests and everything. I have stayed there. It is being done. It was done. Now it is not being done. So it is our duty to recommend to the DG Firstly that it should be carried out in each state. Because
I do
since
not know why
2009,
they stopped it. I do not know why they stopped it. But earlier, people were being engaged and people were being qualified.
yes, that's the deficiency which we need to address better from NFE and also safety associations.
Good
Thank you, sir.
question.
Thank you.
Good suggestion. We can take care of it.
Thank you, sir.
Can we conclude the session, sir?
Please.
Yes. So I would like to thank Mr. Baveja for an exceptional presentation. Your insight and expertise made a significant impact and very grateful for your valuable contribution. I would like to thank to all the participants for the continuous support. Hope to meet you soon in the next upcoming webinars and seminars. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Baveja.
So my
Lakshmi-
personal thanks to all the
Yeah.
participants who have joined. And of course, thanks a lot to NFE and especially to Lakshmi and Blue and Gray for hosting, coordinating, and thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot. It's our pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Lakshmi, can we have a snap?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir requested, na? That's right.
Yeah. Once again. I think